Hello everyone and welcome to All Things Watched. In this video we are going to talk about the brand new movie Argylle, and for anyone that doesn't know, the synopsis of this movie is a reclusive author who writes espionage novels about a secret agent and a global spy syndicate realizes the plot of this new book that she is writing starts to mirror her real life or real world events in real time, and that is literally the perfect description for this movie. And this movie has an absolutely stacked cast. It has Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, Bryan Cranston, Sam Rockwell, Dua Lipa. It has Catherine O'Hara. It has John Cena, and just a whole bunch of great actors, A-list actors too, all great actors. But if we're going to be honest, the core of the story really revolves around Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell, Bryan Cranston, and of course Catherine O'Hara. Now, John Cena is hardly in this movie whatsoever. He's only in just maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 scenes of the whole thing. The same thing with Ariana DeBose. She is portraying a character known as Kira, and she's hardly in the entire movie as well. But this is really, really like heavily a Sam Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard movie. They are in pretty well the entire scenes for the most part. Henry Cavill is in there for a fair amount. He's definitely, he's in there more than the rest, but he's still not in there as much as Bryce Dallas Howard or Sam Rockwell. So in terms of the performances, I really thought they did a great job, and I really thought that the movie was really cast well, and I think that they did utilize each actor the best way that they possibly could. Henry was actually portraying the character known as Argylle, who was actually the main character in Bryce Dallas Howard's character's story, or in her novel. And in this movie, she portrays a character known as Ellie. And Sam Rockwell, he ends up portraying a real life sort of special agent, so to speak, in the real world, not in her books, not in her novel, but in the real world. And he is basically in the movie in order to protect Ellie, from a conspiracy or a plot or whatever you want to call it, which is set out against her. So, for the first, probably, if I had to guess, the first, probably, definitely the first half of the movie, maybe even further, probably for like the first 70, I'd say the first 70% of this movie I thought was done really, really, really well. I thought it was really interesting. I thought the whole idea about this novelist who was, writing out not just one novel, but actually has an entire book series dedicated to her character Argylle. I really like that idea of her being an author and creating this stories and creating these stories in these books, and then end up, sort of being caught in the middle of this espionage thing herself. Like the description says, it really mirrors and parallels, her real life. They're in real life events and real life time, and so it was really cool to see her have to sort of face those, those challenges in the real world, while also at the same time, given the fact that she does have a very vivid imagination, she's able to write about these stories in her novels. And I even was a pretty big fan of how they treated Ellie towards the end. There's a lot of twists and turns in this movie that you don't see coming, and there's a lot of them that I really, really did like, but there were a couple of them that I didn't like. But one of the things that I did like is what you eventually end up learning about Ellie. So far into the movie, they start to explain why she's such a great novelist, why she has all these cool ideas, why she's able to write all these really cool, espionage stories, and why she's able to come up with really cool characters such as Argylle, and such as Kira, and such as Wyatt, because these things, to some degree, do reflect her real life. There's certain people in the world that she knows, and she has a certain past that we don't really know about until really far into the movie, that sort of echoes her novels and gives her the inspiration to write these novels. So I really liked that part of the movie, but what I was not a big fan of I really felt like the movie went downhill by the time it got to the scene, and I won't really go into too much detail about it, but what I'll say is it's the scene that was in the trailers, and you'll see it in the movie, when basically towards the climax of the movie, closer to the third act, is when Ellie and Aiden, Sam Rockwell's character, and Bryce Dallas Howard's character, ends up having to work together. And it's right when they start to basically release all these gas canisters and whatnot, and different gas canisters, has different color gas. It has like pink and blue and yellow and red and all these different color types of canisters. When you get to that sequence, when you start to see that fighting sequence, for me, that's when the movie started to go downhill. I loved everything up to that point. I thought it was really, for the most part, I mean, very realistic and pretty grounded for the most part. Even with the couple of really cool twists that you learn about Ellie, I thought everything up to that point was done really cool. But then after you got to that sequence with the different color gas canisters, to me it got almost a little too silly and almost a little too Willy Wonka, too Disney, almost too, almost too cartoonish. There ends up being an entire sequence where, they're basically they're trying to fight off all kinds of these bad guys with, and they all got these machine guns and whatnot, and the floor ends up being covered in oil, and so she ends up being able to skate around, and like that whole sequence, I thought that was really silly. But I think what I really hated the most about this sequence is that when you get to the very end of the movie, and I won't give away too much about who it is or who's involved, but you very much get this Winter Soldier vibe where you learn that one of the characters is actually brainwashed, and they're able to just basically say a bunch of words and basically take control of this certain character, and and all that stuff I just thought was really silly and really was not necessary. But up to, like I said, up to that sequence with the colored canisters, I thought the movie was almost flawless. I loved it right up to that sequence. But once you get to those final moments and those final action moments, I felt that the movie really went downhill quick, and I really think that they really ruined really ruined the movie with a lot of those sequences. And so because of that, if I were to put a number on Argylle, I think I would give this one, for me on a personal level, I would give this one 55%. Because I did still like it more than when I didn't, so I'm okay with giving it a 55 as opposed to like a 50-50. And I definitely wouldn't fail the movie. There was definitely lots there to really like I said, for the first, I don't know, half or even 70% of the movie, I actually thought it was really good. But then that last 30 to 40% of the movie really took me out of it, because I just thought it kept getting sillier and sillier, and I thought it kept getting worse and worse and worse, and I thought the sequences were just, they just went too far, even within the movie that it itself was creating, especially with Ellie's character, because even when a lot of things are revealed to her, she kind of goes from a 0 to 100 like very quickly, and the movie sort of tries to play it off as like muscle memory type thing, but I just didn't buy into it. But overall, I still enjoyed watching the movie, and I did have a lot of fun with it. But I just, like I said, the final parts of the movie really took me out of it. So with that being said, folks, that's my review for Argylle. Let me know in the comment section below if you've seen it, and if you liked it, tell me why or why not. If you like this video, click that subscribe button, and until the next one, take care.